Hi, welcome to Local Matters. Well, today I've got Mayor Scott Hill as a guest, and he has a lot to talk about, so let's get to it. Mayor, thanks for being here with us.
Well, Ken, thanks for the invitation.
There's a lot going on in McMinnville, and from what I understand, you've been doing a lot of legwork. You were at a meeting last night till
1:30, we had a public hearing that ended at 1:30 last night, or this morning, yes.
and you've been doing this for 23, 25 years?
In some aspect, yeah. Let me give you a little background.
All right.
Ken, I moved with my family from Portland to McMinnville in 1992. Had an opportunity with Key Bank to become an area sales leader with the bank, which gave me an opportunity to have numerous branches in the Willamette Valley. We took a look at McMinnville. We fell in love immediately with the livability and the charm that McMinnville is known for. I brought our children. I have a son and a daughter and our wives, and then we just melded into this community and just felt so welcomed. And as a banker in Portland, there's so many bankers that you can't be recognized, but you come to McMinnville, and a banker is someone that probably is going to be the treasure of everything that you could think of. And that's what happened as I moved and got involved in initially Kiwanis, then the McMinnville Downtown Association. I became their treasurer. United Way of Yamhill County became their treasurer. Chamber of Commerce became their treasurer. It was just a skill that I brought to the table. But what it did, it helped me understand this community inside and out.
Can we just back up a little bit? Mm-hmm. You came with your family. How old were the kids when you?
My son Brad was 5 years old, and my daughter was 3 years old. So my daughter thinks this is the only place she lived. She can't remember Portland. My son has a few memories of Southeast Portland.
Now, have they settled here?
My son and daughter-in-law, they live in Bellevue, Washington, and he's working for Boeing, and so he's a result of the McMinnville School District and the education here. My daughter lives in Orem, Utah, and is engaged and going to be married the 3rd of June, so we've got some good, happy things happening with our family.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. I interrupted. Let's get back to you were treasurer on most of the clubs and committees
and then
in town.
the city, Ed Gormley came to me and said, Scott, how would you like to go on to the budget committee? And that was in 1994. And so I said, absolutely. And I started to then understand the story of the city. Because from my perspective, if you understand the finances, you understand what's happening within the city. And so for now 24 years, I've been involved with city financing, and of those 24 years, I'd say 20 of those as the chair of the budget committee. Even as we sit, I'm the chair of the budget committee. So it's something that I enjoy. I've seen tremendous growth in how we're able to tell our story financially.
And the cycles you've seen, too.
Oh, absolutely.
How you've dealt with those.
We've seen highs, and we've seen some pretty lows. But I'll tell you, this community the city is so conservative that during those really tough times when cities were really struggling, we had enough in savings that we weren't able to have to cut too deep, and we've pulled out of that, and we have, I think we're the envy of many cities throughout the state of Oregon from a financial standpoint.
And, maybe this is something you want to talk about a little bit more later about our water, with the vision around that.
Oh.
You've been part of that development over these many years.
Absolutely. As mayor, I become a part of the Water and Light Commission, and I'm an ex officio, which means that as long as I'm mayor, I'm going to be on that commission. And, I've had to learn a lot about water and light because that's new to me. But, our reservoir holds somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.4 billion gallons of water for our use, and it's pristine, beautiful water. But let me tell you one other piece that we're working on right now. A couple of years ago, we bought some senior rights off of the Willamette River. International Paper outside of Albany, as they closed down, we bought their water rights. And so we now have an additional $5 million worth of water that can be pumped out of the Willamette River on a daily basis. Well, we have to season those rights, which means we have to be able to pump it out, and clean it, but that's something that we're looking at Water and Light, so that we'll have a redundant system to fall back on if something were to happen with the reservoir and the water coming off of our watershed.
Well, is there a little drama around being able to acquire those water rights? Wasn't there a scramble for that? Or did you get first dibs? What happened?
I wasn't a part of of the board when that happened, but I know that we paid a good amount of money for that. But in our looking at that was something that's completely was the right thing to do, that redundant system, because you just never know. And water is so critical to the livelihood of this community and the businesses within the community.
Well, without water, it can just stop growth.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no way around it.
Well, we see around our region many communities that are struggling, and in the summer have to get to a point where they can't water lawns, wash cars, do the everyday functioning of life without it. And so that's something I'll just share with you, that we're talking about the possibility of a regional water source and bringing in some of the other communities, but we're a ways away from that, and a lot of talking and negotiating that needs to happen.
Well, I'm glad that possibility's there, because there's towns around here that can use some help.
Absolutely. So back in 2004, I had an opportunity to go on city council, and so I represented Ward 1 and had an opportunity that when Rick Olson became mayor, I became his council president. And
well, there's a little more drama than going on. You had to run for an election, right?
Well, we've had to run. I've run for city councilor 3 times. Two of them unopposed.
Okay.
One of them I had someone that I ran against, and I love running against individuals because it puts you at the top of your game. You have to really think about why you're doing it. You have to be able to articulate it. You've got to be able to share that with the people, and they understand it. And so, but I'll tell you, that has been a great learning experience. I did most of that while I was employed with Key Bank. I retired 3 years ago from Key Bank after 37 years with the bank. And then that opened up a lot more opportunity for me to get involved in many more committees than I had been before, because the bank was not a 40-hour job, but it was somewhere between 50 and 60 a week as I was traveling throughout the Willamette Valley.
Well, Scott, what I just heard was, oh boy, I'm retired. I can be on more committees.
But again, it comes back, and you got to understand what drives me and why would I want to be mayor? Why do I want to take this good part of my life and be serving? And it's because throughout my life, I've just given, and I've gotten more back than I've given. And so, many people have hobbies, and the photography, traveling, painting, reading, whatever it may be. I'll tell you, mine is city government and being involved in the community. And it is as satisfying to me as anything that I do. And so it doesn't look like work. It doesn't feel like work. It's a pretty fun thing. I sat down the other day and I says, people probably look at me as a mayor at City Hall. I get to come in when I want to. I have no boss. I can be involved in what I want to, and I can go home when I want to. That's a perfect job. Okay, I don't get paid. It's volunteer, but that's not what drives me right now. It's that personal satisfaction of being a part of a community, being a part of a group of individuals that livability is so important, and the legacy and the heritage that has been laid before, they've got to be in place. And so when Rick Olson, the current mayor, determined that he wanted to run for county commissioner, and he won that, then I said, there's got to be someone seasoned that takes over. We've got too many important things going on, and I determined that I had the capacity, the time, and the desire, but I had to run a hard campaign, the hardest campaign I've run in all of my city government, but it was a learning experience for me, Ken.
Well, I've heard two things. You have a passion. You also have a lot of experience. I'd like you to touch on something we talked about earlier in what you bring to McMinnville from your experience in Key Bank, in your area management. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was when we moved to McMinnville in 1992, I took a different position. I'd been a commercial lender up in the Portland metropolitan area, and I took a position of an area sales leader or district sales leader, where I had a number of branches that I was responsible for to help them be successful, to supervise their staffs, but to hit goals. And in banking, we have goals, and so I had areas from South Portland, let's say Bridgeport, all the way through Eugene, and I was on the road quite a bit. Well, in doing that, when I go into a community and when the bank's involved, we involve ourselves with Chamber of Commerce's economic development. There's a number of things that we do, and so I've had an opportunity to know and understand what the Chamber's direction and how they work in Wilsonville, in Newburgh, in Canby, in Salem, you name it. And so having the opportunity to look at these other communities and how they work just added to the experience and, again, the passion that I found in doing what I did here in McMinnville, because I think we do it better than many other communities. So I think that's what that...
Someone that's from here, someone that's been looking around.
Absolutely.
Coming home and being well pleased.
Well, I could always say I was from McMinnville, and they go, wow. Even whether it be the Chamber, whether it be the city, whether it be our park and recreation, we're the envy of many communities out there.
All right.
So good stuff from that perspective. I think right now, Ken, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about some of the projects that I felt that were so important when I was looking at running for mayor. I put a lot of time and effort into some of these projects, and to walk away from them at a critical time after all of the hard work of getting them up and going. And so the first one is the McMinnville Urban Renewal District. And I think it was back in 2013, 2011, we had learned about urban development and how we could build an urban district, urban renewal district, where we would freeze the taxes or the value of property at a certain point in time, and then taxes that were paid that were incrementally higher over time because of appreciation would go back to the urban renewal district. And the only one that hurts that is the city, because they're not getting those funds for this district that we carved out, which is really 3rd Street, and then we took it up to the Alpine area because we knew that there was going to be a lot of opportunity to develop that.
So let me see if I understand that. At a certain point, you freeze the amount of taxes that are distributed throughout the city in the normal way. And then as the property value increases, the revenue that results from that increase in valuation doesn't get spread out in the normal way. It goes to urban development of that area.
Correct. And we did enough studying that the intent is that our urban renewal is for 25 years, and we anticipate $30 million coming from that process. And those monies are going to be monies that are seed money, infrastructure monies that are going to build support that then the private sector comes in and builds. So let's take a view and look at the project that's happening up in Alpine District right now.
You brought a slide of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul, could you bring that up? Okay.
So this is the Alpine District, and again, this is a process that we went through where we had citizen input. We had the Downtown Improvement Committee that started this, and then when we had the Urban Renewal District, then they became the Urban Renewal Advisory Committee, and we determined that there was some great potential in Alpine. And so you look at this drawing right now, and you see something that even today isn't there yet, but this is sitting out looking down Alpine Avenue from the Granary District.
I see the grain station and Flag and Wire Coffee right there.
Absolutely.
And looking, what is that, north on Alpine?
Yeah, that would be north on Alpine. So looking from about 4th down to 11th, somewhere in that area. And so what we've done is when we passed the transportation bond, we took about $2.5 million out of the transportation bond and said we want to develop Alpine.
2.5 out of?
out of
24 million.
24 million. And we said, we want to develop this because there was no infrastructure down there. Those were gravel roads, potholes. And so what we determined is this could be the next 3rd Street in a different way. And so as you're looking down there, what you're seeing is the first 3 blocks of this being festival blocks.
Now I don't see a place for cars here in this drawing. Is that accurate?
Cars and trucks can go down there.
Oh.
It's a serpentine pattern that you
really?
would go, and it's a mixture of pedestrian and traffic because the granary station there's so many during crush and harvest. That's a place that's very busy with trucks coming and going.
Yes.
But we've been able to design a pattern where we can do festivals and close the street off, but at the same time, trucks can make the deliveries and do the things that they need to keep commerce happening in that area.
And no curbs, it looks like.
No curves. It's all going to be pavement, and we're going to underground utilities. We're just going to really make this a place that's desirable.
Yeah, so the utilities are going underground. Is that what's going on right now? The streets are that street's closed right now. Is that?
3 weeks ago, we had our grand opening, and we turned the shovels and the dirt, and I was just there this morning and tried to take a visitor that I was out and about with, and we tried to go down. You can't because they're closed, so we went as far down and got out and walked a little bit. But we're starting to look at replacing sewer lines, water, electricity, cable, the whole 9 yards. We want to build the infrastructure that when we're done with the infrastructure, then private people are going to come in and develop, and we're looking for that first project that's going to hit because we know once that hits, then it's going to fill in very quickly. So some exciting things happening from that perspective.
McMinnville Economic Development Partnership, is that Jody Christensen? Are they the folks that are looking to fill that?
Well, Jody will be a part of that. Jody's focus really is economic development, and so she's looking for manufacturing. She's looking at businesses coming into town. They have their new mantra of 1,500 jobs over the next 15 years. And we will hit 150 years old as a city in 15 years. And so her desire is to bring in tech type of companies, clean industry that brings wage earning jobs to this community. 1,500 of those over a 15-year period, or 1,500, not 15,000.
Okay.
It was in the paper for 15,000.
Okay.
It's 1,500 new jobs.
Yes.
Over a 15-year period.
Okay, that makes more sense. I thought, wow, that's the stratosphere.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God we cleared that up.
Good. So, that's one of the things I think is really important. The other thing that I think is really important that we're trying to accomplish at the city is, again, economic development. We have been on the leading edge with MIP, which is McMinnville Industrial Promotions, many, many years ago, long before I came to town, could be back in the 1950s, where innovative individuals brought the business community together. They pooled money, they sold bonds, they bought industrial land, preparing that. And so Jody uses those inventories of land to be shovel ready so that if there's a company that wants to relocate, we're ready to go. And for us, it is all about preparing the opportunities for good businesses to come, because it fuels our economy. It also gives us diversity in the workforce, and we need to have diversity in our community.
Well, give me a vision. What's your vision for what would appear along that street? What kinds of things are we looking for?
Well, we would like to see maybe vertical housing, where when we talk about vertical housing, we talk about a commercial location on the bottom with 1, 2, maybe 3 stories of townhouses or condos above that, or even apartments. The market will deliver what the market's going to deliver, but we'd like to see some of that. Our streets are we're looking at festival streets, and then we're looking at craft, and so we're looking at some crafts coming in and being able to do their business, but maybe have a plate glass window, and you look in and see how they make cabinets, or how do this company do this, and those types of things. That's a draw for people to see industry in front of us. And I'll tell you, we've all been to the Tillamook Dairy, and first thing we do is we go upstairs and we overlook how they do cheese, and we all walk away and go, great, and then we go down and eat the cheese. Well, that's kind of what we'd like to see in our crafting area, is just how products are made, and inviting us in to look into how that's done. And then the last pieces from 9th to 11th are just going to be developed streets at a certain point, and it can have a full range of we have an overlay that allows us to have a lot of diversity in that area, and it's going to allow us to really develop that into, I think, a not only economically viable area, but I think it's going to be picturesque. I think it's going to be something that draws people, because we've got to do that, because that's what 3rd Street is. So we've got to build it a little better on Alpine to draw them over and to be a part of it. But when we're all said and done, we're going to have some great functionality that we don't have right now, because closing 3rd Street down is a tough thing to do, but closing Alpine with our festival streeting is going to be much easier to do.
All right. Wow, what a project.
Yeah. Good
so
stuff.
it's happening.
Absolutely.
We've got the money for it, and it's rolling forward.
Let me talk a little bit about the Newburgh Dundee bypass. We are, as mayor, I'm on the Parkway Committee, which is a grouping of individuals from all the communities involved, including the Grand Ronde tribe, and we meet on a monthly basis, and we are looking at having a soft opening to the bypass in September, where we can get out and walk the bypass and just have a great celebration. The formal opening of the bypass is going to be in December, around the 15th of December. We can't have a party in December. There's going to be rain, and we don't know. So we'll have the party early, but the parkway will be opened on around the 15th of December. The most important thing for the bypass right now for us is we've created a semi-solution in the middle. We need to do something from Rex Hill to Springbrook, and from Dundee to Dayton, and so that's where we're putting our efforts right now. We are talking to our representatives in Salem. We're talking to our representatives in Washington. We have lobbyists helping us, and in reality, what we have to do is we have to finish that which we've started. And that could be upwards over $300 million to do what we need to be doing. But it's the right thing to do. It's a congestive area that's just totally impassable at certain times. On the weekends, when people are going to the beach or coming back, you can't move hardly at all. And so we're getting support. That's our focus. That's our message, is let's finish that which we have started. And we have the full support of every city, the county, and the tribe, that this is a very important focused area for us moving forward. So that's another thing that was close to my heart. As I was traveling up and down that I-5 corridor with the bank, I got caught into that. I'd have to sometimes leave 45 minutes earlier to get to Portland, or coming back, whatever it may be. It was a real bottleneck.
Well, Scott, we've talked about urban development, transportation. Let's go to housing. I know there's a lot going on there, and that was what kept you up till 1:30
Absolutely.
At a city council meeting last night.
Yeah, we are. Well, let me back up a little bit. We, as a council, feel that we have a lack of affordable housing in McMinnville. We hear that message.
Nobody will disagree with that.
As our new city manager, Jeff Towery, and I've been going out talking to CEOs and presidents of companies, one of the first things that they're telling us is, we've got to do something because our employees are not able to live in McMinnville. They love it here, they work here, but they have to drive in from Salem, Newburgh, wherever it may be, because we don't have what we call wage earner affordable housing.
Workforce housing.
Yeah, workforce housing. And so that's something that we've put together a committee to deal with affordable housing, where homelessness is another thing that we can talk about in just a few moments. But we're bringing partners together and looking at opportunities to provide more affordable housing. How do you do that? Well, right now, probably one of the largest costs is land. And so if we can cut the land and more density in an area, we can cut a good portion of home ownership off by doing a lot that might be 40 feet by 100 feet instead of 50 or 60 or 70 or 100 by 100, and then looking at the footprint of the house. And so that's what we were doing last night. We have a development going out on Baker Creek Road and Hill on that southeast side of the road. And we have a planned development out there of 208 homes, a lot of mixture in what that looks like. That goes from Hill Road all the way over to the golf course. And so the golf course homes are going to be higher end, but over closer to where Hill Road is, it's going to be higher density, where we're looking at 32-foot lots by 100, and then a 40-foot lot with setbacks that are on the 40-foot lot 5 feet
Not
and
much.
3 foot
Wow.
on the 32. You combine that's 8 feet between homes. And so a lot of concern because that's not been done a lot here in McMinnville. It's being done across the country with great success.
But this is what makes houses more affordable.
More affordable.
Workforce housing available.
Yeah. And so what we're looking at is a development that could be starting out homes at $245,000 as compared to the inventory right now that's well over $300,000. And the high end of that's going to be about $350,000. So very affordable, all kinds of mixtures of that, a lot of open spaces with parks that are interspersed, so because they're not going to have a front yard, they'll have a bit of a backyard, but we'll have open spaces for them, and they're close to a park that's happening. And so that's what we were doing last night. This was denied at the planning commission level, and it was appealed to the city council, and it fit all the criteria.
Because the planning commission recommended against it or denied
They did.
the application.
They denied the application.
Because it said, hey, this is just too dense.
Yeah, they felt it was too dense for what we had seen here in McMinnville. But at the council level, we knew we needed it. It fit the comprehensive plan,
It
and
did.
it was something that we really had to do. Like I said, we started at 7, we finished at 1:30. You know, there was a lot of questioning, a lot of answers going on, and we talked until we felt comfortable. Then we approved it and moved on.
Well, so the council has a commitment to workforce housing. That's what I'm hearing.
And affordable housing.
And even taking it a step farther than has been done here in McMinnville before.
Absolutely.
You're on it.
I'll be very honest, we're a little late to the game, and so we've got
Okay.
to really step up. And you know, the other piece is that we don't have the inventory of land that we would like, and so we're going to have to renew our efforts to grow that urban growth boundary. And we have been denied that for 15 years, and we've spent half a million dollars in cost on that. So that's a renewed effort that we're going to be doing. We've got to get on that to continue to have the livability of McMinnville the way it is right now.
Well, Scott, time has flown.
Yeah.
You've got a minute.
Okay.
What have you got on your heart that you want to share with the community? I know you've come to this job with a lot of passion.
I'll just tell you that know that city government is for and all about people. We don't have agendas, okay? We're serving out of the joy of serving to give back to this community. I'm so thankful. We have about 204 employees, but we have 1,200 volunteers. Okay, that talks volumes to me about what makes this city great. We're connected. We're working hard to keep that legacy, that historic history that we have alive and well. We're thinking about the future, because that's important, and we're doing everything we can to use your dollars well and keep this a safe and livable community to live, maybe one of the best communities in the state of Oregon.
Well, let's leave it there. Well said. Thanks so much for being with us, and thank you for being mayor.
Thank you. Good to see you.